So now we are going to introduce our honored guest today, Mr. Giraud.
Hello, everybody. I am Paul Giraud, one of the Paul Giraud in the story of the family. Our family is here in this small village, in the hearth of the Grand Champagne, the first area of cognac. And this family is here since 1635. That is to say, it's 400 years, it's 4th century. So it's a long story of this family in this village. And actually, we make cognac and we produce cognac and we sell all cognacs in the world.
As I understand, you're at Hauteville, the Grand Champagne region. And maybe, what's the significance of that region? Maybe you can explain a little bit about that, and that'd be great.
Yes. The cognac area is 2 French departments, Charente and Charente-Maritime. It's a large area, 100 kilometers in the north of Bordeaux, for example. And the particularity of the soil is to be very chalky. It's why this special place called Grand Champagne. Champagne in French vocabulary means a chalky soil. And here it's very, very chalky. The period of the Campagna and the Santonien, it's why we have chalky soil. And it brings a big quality to the Hauteville we produce. The wine is very acid, but we need this acidity for the distillation. And if the Grand Champagne age very slowly, they are very, very aromatic. And if you are patient, if you wait a long time, you have very, very good cognac with a large aroma, a large range of aroma.
Can you explain the characteristics and the signature flavors of Paul Giraud cognac?
During the aging, you have mainly 3 steps. One step is very flowered. A second step is very fruity. And the third step is very spicy. But 3 steps is not 1 year and 1 year. I think that the flowered is around 15 years, a fruity during 25, 30, for example, and spicy after 35, 40 years. And at the end of the aging, around 60 years, you have what we call rancio. It's very, very special. It's difficult to explain, but rancio is the end of the aging with a maximum of oxidation.
So today we're going to introduce cask that was filled in 1974. And I hear that it's an excellent year. And I think that cask will be linked with our UniCask NFT and fractionalized and to be sold to different owners who are lucky enough to own a piece of Paul Giraud cask. And we hope to keep it aging a little bit further before bottling it and finally send it to its owners. And maybe can we take a look at, I understand today we don't have the exact cask of that 1974 cask, but we have a sister cask to show the size because they're very similar. And I think the actual cask itself is stored deep inside the cellar where the cameras cannot reach for technical issues. So today we have to do with this cask. Maybe you can give a little explanation of what the 1974 cask, because it's a really long time ago, and what's the history of that, and that would be great if you can give us a little explanation. Yes.
Perhaps more information before, because I was a student, of course, at the moment, and when I stopped the school and the student and to be student in France, I have to make the army during 1 year. So I made the army in 73. And I began the army in 73, and I finished the army in September 73. So I arrived here in the farm to work with my father in October 74. And my first job was to make the harvest in 74. The weather was not like now. It was a little bit cold because, like I say, we harvest in October. Began around the 10th of October until the end of October. Sometimes in the morning it was very, very cold. And at this time, the harvest was made with a team of 30% of Spanish person, and we harvest all by hand. And of course, after the harvest, after the vinification, we have to make the distillation with my father. And I learned a lot, of course, because if I was to school, I learned a lot of things, but I don't learn enough to know how to make a good distillation.
So I have questions from Discord that I need to answer. So one is that how can I receive the spirits and cognac or whiskeys that I bought from UniCask? The answer to that is, so UniCask, whenever we sell a single cask or multiple casks, we determine a date for which we will bottle the cask into bottles. And then the person who owns the NFT can send the NFT to us, digitally, of course, to redeem that bottle. And so usually it's predetermined even before you purchase. So please check with the product page, and it will say. So for the first cask, the Genesis cask, Springbank 1991, it's 20 years later. So it's in 2041, I guess. So from now, it's 20 years later. And for other spirits and maybe cognacs, we will determine based on what's the best time and the best aging time, and then we'll announce it before we make the sale.